Hello fellow creatives, it is day 17 of the 30 Days of Painted Elephants project, and I'm going to complete number 4 in the 4x4 series. I am really excited to get going on this today. Roxy's having a drink of water over there. Apparently she's really thirsty. Well, thanks for finishing your drink, Rox. Go to bed. Go lay down. You gotta love them. As I was saying, day 17 and the 4th and final painting of the 4x4 series is going to be completed today. And you'll probably get a bonus of me touching up all 4 paintings to make them look cohesive. All is not said and done when they are each individually done. Sometimes you need to do a little bit of tweaking to make them look cohesive. I'm kind of feeling a bit of under the weather today. I've got my trusty little cup of green tea and I'm gonna save my voice and just jump right in. On to today's piece. Here is me filling up my paint palette with white, teal, yellow ochre, raw umber, and Payne's gray. And just using the word stencil and making some marks with all my mark making tools, some bubble wrap, some honeycomb hot plot, and those drawer liner thingies. I learned from my other ones that you really need to take the time in the beginning of these ones to get a lot of juicy layers down. The more that you make in this beginning stage, the better, because it's a lot harder to go in and try and make, you know, areas that are cool when you already have your elephant or something drawn there. And that was me showing you my cup because I actually put my paintbrush in my tea. So that was awesome. And it wasn't the first time. So I'm just finding a really cool area right here with the dark raw umber to do some scribbling and art journaling. Again, I'm still going with sort of letting my emotions out onto the piece. Yesterday, my emotions were all about being fearful about money, and today I'm just not feeling, I'm feeling pretty under the weather. So I'm just journaling about that and getting all of that out. Part of being healthy and giving yourself self-care is getting your emotions out, and journaling and scribbling is a great way to do that. I don't think I've told you guys this yet, but I am a graphic designer by trade, so I really love that alphabet stencil there. I'm loving the combination of the image and the text. I love playing with fonts and imagery and layers in Photoshop. So that is probably the #1 factor of why I love mixed media art so much, because I come by it by trade. It's just a lot different when you are getting your hands dirty with paint and then you are using technology. It's a very interesting juxtaposition. I saw the movie Toy Story and I thought I wanted to be a 3D animator. So that goes to show you about how old I am. That movie was in 1995, by the way. Just before I graduated high school. Looks like this one's pretty much getting close to what I want it to be. Just really getting that elephant shape established in there. I used the brown watercolor pencil because it just goes with this. It goes with the burnt umber and the yellow ochre, and the black is just too black. There isn't a lot of black in here other than the, you know, micron sketches. I initially had a tusk on that elephant, but then realized that none of my other elephants have any, and the other elephants are a little bit youthful, and this one looked a little bit, I don't know, a little bit too realistic almost. I love how that raw umber just melts and drips and smushes. Now, when I was looking at my 4 paintings, I knew that this piece had this navy blue horizon line. So when I was working on number 3, I knew that I needed to
roll with how this was already starting to go. So that's why I designed the last painting with the horizon line where it was on the bottom, because I was referencing this next one knowing what I had to start with. So that took a little bit of planning. Getting that script on there with some burnt umber. At that point I just dipped it right in the paint that was on the palette, and it actually worked out really well. The challenge with these little canvases is that the canvas dips in the middle, so you have to hold it underneath with your hand and try and press it, and it doesn't give the strongest image. Well, this one's looking pretty close to done, but I know that I'm going to go into it a little bit later with all 4 of them present. So I know that I don't have this one exactly where I need it to be just yet.
I guess it pays to do 4 of the same, because this painting only took me about 45 minutes. You ready to see it? It is still wet. This is all gonna dry. Here he is, my final of the 4 series. So I wanted you to see this one, and now I'm going to bounce right back in and work on all 3 of them, or all 4 of them rather, to make them all cohesive. I have to say, this one's probably my favorite one so far. So I'm going to seek out the elements that I love in this one and try and replicate them in the other one. I can tell you right now, part of it is definitely this. I'm gonna bounce right back in and finish them all.
Okay, so here are all 4 of the paintings, and I'm looking at all of them, and I found that on the bottom left I needed some yellow ochre. It was missing yellow when I compared it to all the rest. It was very black and blue and teal, but there wasn't a lot of yellow ochre, so I just added some of that. And this navy blue area, I knew I needed to do something with it, so I'm loving the top left way that I did that area. So I'm just grabbing some teal and sort of trying to meld that area together, and really having to work with it a couple of different times. I go into that area several times on this piece because the rest of it's pretty much done. So this is the only area that I'm working with. Right there I take a very, very watery raw umber and I sort of drag it across. So I've got 3 layers of different colors of paint here, which actually turned out to look really cool. And I love how that teal just sort of snuck in there and made that marbly little look. I loved that alphabet stencil on the 4th one, so I'm incorporating it over here on the 3rd one. And you can see that I'm using, obviously, the letters in the name elephant on all of these pieces. There's the E, that was from number 2, I believe. And it was yellow ochre, and it was just sort of falling flat, so I just dragged some white paint over the top of it to make it really pop out. Working on that crazy side again. These areas are tough to do, but when you get them right, they look so cool. Here I'm trying to, I know I need a 3D element. So all of my other pages have a 3D or, you know, some texture. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do on this side here to incorporate that. This one only has paint on it, so I'm needing something. So I went to my stash of things and I found this really cool chain link looking border. It's a scrapbooking page border actually. And I just grabbed my trusty glue brush, and you can see I glue it down as well as glue it around the sides of the canvas. You can see in most of these that I do paint the outside edges of the canvas in relationship to what's there. I finally get to use that quote, the quote that says, "Choose to believe." I'm finally getting to use it in that piece, so I'm glad I hung on to it for all this time. And again, this one was missing some yellow ochre. I didn't like how stark the imprint of the cardboard was, so I just added water. Thankfully, with these golden paints, when you add water, they drip really beautifully. And I, of course, couldn't leave that white, plain stark white, so I needed to get grunged up. So I used some yellow ochre and some raw umber, painting with my fingers just to get things nice and gritty. And I really wanted to play on that stencil once again. I wanted it to be pretty obvious. I took that A out and now I'm not really sure. I might put it back. I have yet to decide. So this one area was bothering me. It was really plain. So when what I decided to do here was use some raw umber to get in the background of it and get it kind of gritty and grungy. And then to make it pop out, I dragged some white paint on the edges of it. And I think that that really did the trick. It made it a lot more cohesive with the rest of the pieces and how they kind of all work together. And then at the end of the day, that one I really wanted to keep as the charcoal pencil, but it turned out that it needed to match the other ones that were drawn with pen. So I just went ahead and sketched around it with the pen. Trying to get it a little bit darker here just to match the other ones. I would have liked to have kept it just sort of that charcoal smudge sort of air piece, but have to make it work together. Adding some more cardboard down onto that other bottom one, a couple in there. You can see how that, adding cardboard now at this point is kind of tough. And I'm loving the look of the scribbles script. So just using some white gel pen and doing some more journaling and scribble scripting. Just adding another layer of interest. Another black little layer there, just to tie everything together and to keep your eye moving around the canvas.
Well, it is fitting that the sun is beginning to set because this took quite the day of painting, but at the end of the day, I am blissfully happy with the final product. I love these 4 paintings. I love them together and I love them individually. What a great experiment and a great way to push myself. I hope you enjoyed watching them all transpire and I hope that you learned a lot. That wraps up day 17 of the 30 Days of Painted Elephants project. I will have all the juicy photos of all 4 of them together on my Instagram stories. Follow me at Wholehearted Art. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching these 4 paintings all come together. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow.